it was okay for the dad, and the dad returned the guy. What am I saying? That thing happened in the church. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it happened in the church. Exactly. So now coming up again with this one. So, well, we can't say it's so strange because it has always been part of our culture for elders, right, who believe that had actually made money and they're spending out of their excesses, excess money, the profit, to appreciate musicians and to appreciate themselves. But when that thing has now been narrowed down or, got into the lowest ebb of that indecency, please permit me to use that word. It calls for, concerted effort from parents, teachers alike, elders and adults to really put this in perspective. So the first question I want to ask is, what was or is the agenda, the objective of giving a child, right? Giving him the money or give her the money to spray musicians. What is it? Though I have attended parties before whereby you see teenagers, children, appreciating themselves, take this, they're just happy out of what their parents have given to them. So we may, in a way, permit that, right? Because everybody is there under the close watch of the parents. But when the thing now gets to the school environment, whereby a parent or whoever that is there, stood up, then they begin to spray. And after that, the guy or the child also, collect the bundle and start to do it, replicating what is seen the adults do. What we tell parents is this, excuse me, whatever we do remains or is defined as a content curriculum to our children. So it is whatever they see us do that and they will do because of the impressionable nature of their mind. Their mind is just like a sponge. Put it in the water. You don't need to exert any force. It soaks it up. So anything we do, we must always, put them in mind. How are we going to correct that? How are we going to let them know that this thing is meant for adults? I think it may be difficult. It may, because we won't know. Because, okay, now, somebody may say, well, it's relative. What informs the decision of an adult or a parent to hand over, say, maybe 40 naira or 1,000 or 500 naira to his own child to spray? It's the same thing that makes someone who claims that I have money, I can throw around, I can hand over 500,000 naira to my children or to my child to do the same.
Okay.
The culture is at what point? Where is this allowed?
Okay. Because I know on this particular issue, because if we respond to him,
we will not enter the actual time.
We have questions because we've seen this Japa phenomenon and how it's now impacting family dynamics. So I want us to go into our main conversation. As someone deeply involved in parenting advocacy, how do you perceive this phenomenon of Japa and the impact it's having on Nigerian families and children, particularly in terms of cultural retention?
Okay, so over time, in the past 20, 30, 40 years, people have always been migrating from one place to the other. Started from the Bible, you could see it in the Quran, right? So it is not, it has never been the problem. But where it concerns us now and where the real problem is because of many calls, mails that we've been receiving lately in the past 2 years about how some children, have turned to be what their parents knew them to be when they were in Nigeria. It's so alarming, and the moment to say that now, to iron that out, is now. See, we tell parents that the children that you are raising now, they are not the children of yesteryears.
Or how we were raised.
Or how we
were raised. We belong to Generation Next. Children born from 1964 to 1980, 81.
No, that's not me.
Okay, so, okay. Another one from 81 to 97. So, generation changes.
Yeah.
And the perspective on how to raise the generation must always change. When we say this, people think that we want to change the purpose of parenting remains the same from time immemorial. But the only thing that is different is how to achieve. So mean that methods will not be the same. Let me take us back to COVID-19. Before COVID-19, I went to a school in 2017, and we told them that empowerment is superior to enlightenment. And I took that word from my coach, Barrister Tewa Akinlami. So he told us then that empowerment is greater, it's more desirable than enforcement. So meaning that when something happens, you try to, where you enforce is an intervention. An intervention is always almost late. So we told them that when you want to hand over a device to your children, empower them. What are the things that they need to know in handling? It's not enough to say you want to reduce the screen time, you want to give them for 1 hour, then later you collect it. What happens when in a case we just told them that something may happen that it will afford them the opportunity to have the device 24/7.
Yeah.
How do you undo it? Some parents say, no, it will never happen. I will never allow it. Boom. It happened. 2019, 2021 came. COVID happened. These children that you've been withholding this thing from, they now had access to it 24/7. And there was even a joke. Somebody, a parent and the child was telling the mom that, remember, sometimes ago you used to withdraw this from me, but now it's my word. Now it's my word, and I have it to myself.
Yeah.
Concerning the JAPA, now that we are saying, we told parents, or we still tell them that before you set out, right, to start your family, get what we call family constitution. Inside family constitution, it recites your value system, vision, mission. What do you really want to engage in life? Then the mode of communication, the mode of discipline. How do you want to discipline your children? They will always say that we want to copy a Western word. And I always tell them that beating children to obey was never part of our culture. I'm not sure whether time will permit me to go into that. Our forefathers didn't start to do that. That's why when the word parenting came, Omo, like from Yoruba perspective now, Omo is somebody that you mold. Omo, mo is from the word verb, mold. Omo is something that you mold. It's somebody that you mold. It's not somebody that you beat. It's somebody that you mold, that you raise with right value. So when you look at the word Omo, then you know, because this man said, of blessed memory, that when the purpose of a thing is unknown, then abuse is inevitable. Yeah. So if you don't know that the word Omo means to mold, we will definitely abuse the children. So we tell them, have this thing in place, because you don't know what tomorrow holds. So tomorrow holds now that everybody now embrace JAPA. They have to go to seek greener pasture. I tell them that it's not about the education alone. It's not about exposing them to the other to the world beyond them alone, but it has to do a lot with their interpersonal relationship skill. It has to do with the value. It has to do with their retaining their culture.
Okay.
Now the problem is this: when they now get to those areas where it is wrong for you to beat your child before the child could listen, then they are stuck.
Yeah. Okay, but I mean, let's be very honest. There's some clips that I've seen in past years where children literally go out of hand because they know that the parents can't touch them. But I'm not even going to go deep into that. Let's now talk about for families whose child or children, go without them. And you did mention value systems, having that family value system outlined from the start. So if your value system does not exactly align with how they do it in the Western world, and you know that your children are there, isn't that going to be like conflicting interests for your value system as a family and the country your child currently is? And how do you manage that?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not going to conflict with our value system, because your value system is who you are. It represents your identity. Nobody can change your identity. If you get to a particular place, so we tell children, teenagers now, and we give them, I use one philosophy to teach them in that, it's a metaphor. You either be a thermostat or thermometer. What does a thermostat do? Thermostat reflects the environment. thermometer reflects the environment. It reflects the temperature. What is there is what thermometer will read. But a thermostat kickstarts. Yeah. So when you go out there, be a thermostat. Don't be a thermometer. When you are a thermostat, you kickstart. You start your own value. There is no way, right, that the value they see over there will overshadow them. We've seen many cases of children going there. My daughter is there. And it's because of how we have raised. It's because of how a lot of things that we have said that you are going to a world that is beyond you. A world that is very, very different. Nature is different. Even the religion perspective is different. The way they think is different. So how are you going to meet up? So what we tell parents is there is a course. It's called, my coach again is handling this. It's called Ready for Life. Most of our children, we are not preparing them for life. So when a teenager gets over that place, right, they just reflect what is there. They become thermometer. They are not thermostat. Again, we have some children, teenagers, who were actually, nurtured in that right value. But when they get over there, they turn to something else. I'm going to address that in two perspectives. One, there are choices.
Yeah. Yes.
There are choices. So you can't really pin them down. Yeah. When a teenager believes that regardless of how my parents parented me, I have a choice to make. So that one is another perspective. Another perspective is this, that it's possible that parents do not or did not really know how to impact this value system in their children. Maybe your choice of language. If your choice of language is wrong, they will not connect. Then the purpose for them, for you, the purpose we are giving them for them to obey. If the purpose is for you to get immediate compliance, children will give you. And when they go out, they become their own. So let whatever, maybe the disciplinary measure or whatever you want to give them, let it be from what is in need for me, what is in need for the child. It's not about what is in need for the family or for the parents. So everything that you want to set, let it come from the perspective of how is it going to be beneficial to the children, to the teenagers, not to you. Because they are thinking, they know that parents can be selfish. They know that my parent or my dad only want me to respect him or her. My mom maybe respect her in the public, and they will give it to you. You tell them to kneel down, you tell them to prostrate, they will prostrate. But you are giving them what you are projecting is different from what even your own personal life. It will really reflect. Those guys don't know how to fake it.
So in all of this, because it's a cultural shock, and I think a lot of people are experiencing it now. Yeah. The attempt to balance preserving cultural heritage and assimilating the culture that they have. Yeah. It's very difficult. I can give a few examples because this was an experience for my family. We grew up in Nigeria and we teach children not to look adults in the eye. In the West, many people consider it a bit shifty and shady and somebody lacks confidence when you're not looking them in the eye. Yeah. I have cousins who grew up there, and when they came to greet their grandparents here, they did not kneel down. They extended a hand and said, "Grandma, hello. Good afternoon." But then I also remember my parents made a sacrifice. So when we went, I was about 4 or 5 years old, and there was an older family member who said, "If you do anything, make sure she speaks Yoruba. If you've ever heard my Yoruba, please, I beg you, no vex. It's Obumasho Yoruba, very local." But one thing my parents did is, as soon as I entered the house, English stopped. And I always have this core memory when I was about 6 years old of spending 20 minutes to tell my father, "Mo fe jeun." And I was crying, but this man said, "Until you say it in Yoruba, you're not eating." And now I can appreciate that strictness, that attempt to ensure that inside the house, you're understanding culture, you understand you're a part of a people, you come from somewhere, you're not just coming to the U.S. to come and become an American. You are someone, you have an identity. So I also want to ask in terms of the identity, the assimilation, the balance, because our kids will need to be part of that culture. They'll need to understand those cultural norms, but then we also need to keep our own culture. And I have to salute them. Organizations that you can become part of that continue to, of course, propagate the culture. How are we going to do this assimilation so that our kids are balancing?
Yes. So now, let me take it from the first area of the culture shock. Parents will contribute to that. When we hear a measure or maybe one tradition or culture, I take it from where they told us that how we were raised, that we are not raised to look at our elders in the eye, because to them it means that you are being rude, right? So one day, we knew all these things will always cause problems, because something you are not able to explain the reason behind it to your children, it won't really last. It's like saying that, okay, you don't give an elderly person, you don't use your left hand
to give,
collect something. So to collect or to give, those questions my children ask me. So concerning that now, you don't look them in the eyes. I tell parents, when they come to our school, I say, please, I say to them that, please, go and write down all those parenting instructions that they gave you. Write them down and go to your fathers. Ask them what were the reasons for this. They will tell you. When they tell you, then you know how to interpret to your children. So I now told our children that now what that means is really you don't look your elders in the face. But if you have a rapport with any other, maybe your teacher, you let them know that I want to look, and I don't even know, because even in Yoruba they say Oju Lorowa.
Yes.
So meaning that
it is in the eye that there is.
So if you want me to pay
attention,
I should look. But they say that when you look them in the face, okay, no problem. So we now tell them that the reason why they do that is so that you don't do that. So how do you now ensure that even though you look them in the eyes, but you still respect them? That is when you are being assertive, not aggressive. And that has to do with the choice of your communication. That has to, do with the choice of your eye contact. You could look somebody straight in the face by not disrespecting the person. Yeah. You could look and intentionally, you can just look at the person and just be smiling like this. At times, my son would tell me that something happened and I was, livid. And my son said, Daddy, I will report you to your customers now that you are frowning at me. Wow. Do you understand? I said, I know them on Facebook. I'll just go there now. See what my daddy is doing. By the time he gives me that eye contact smile, then he hugged me. So I won't say you look at me in the face disrespectively. So I tell them that even if you want to look your elders in the face, try to smile. Carry that face. Let them see that friendly face in you. And when you are interacting with them, let your word be assertive and don't be aggressive. So what they just need to do is to find out what were the reasons. Because and I like this, our culture. I'm sorry, I'm Yoruba, and I'm proud of that. I like it. For every culture that they handed over to us, there were always stories behind them. Ask stories, because I told somebody, why did they say, I asked one of my uncles, then he's late now, why they say that men are logical, then why women are emotional. Over time, I've heard that they've been saying it. Then in a training, my coach told me that it's a lie. Yes, that we have some men who are emotional also. Then the uncle who told me that, and I went to him to ask why, and the man told me, oh, blessed memory, and I said that thing came up when men were always going to the war front. So you have to be logical before you can win. And women were asked to sit at home, take care of the children. When the men come back, feed them. So you need a lot of emotional strength, resilience before you could, engage that effectively. But now, women are no longer sitting at home. Yeah. They are out there, and the same way men are out there. So now you don't say that a man has to be logical alone. A man has to be logical and emotional. The same way.
I think that
emotional intelligence.
I'm sorry. I want to, just because you've talked about, when you go as a teenager, many people are going with their young families, right? And I moved to the UK when I was barely 16 years old, and I know the culture shock that I received. But because I had such a strong upbringing, a strong background of family and roots and whatnot, there was, and of course I had church as well on my side. There were a lot of things that I didn't feel pressured by, right? But you're going with young children
2, 3, 4-year-olds, where the culture is significantly different now. And I'm saying the UK, America, Canada of now is not the same UK, America, Canada of 10, 15 years ago. It's not. The culture is different. The liberties that they take, you know, and I'm not trying to single any particular faction out, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say. The lifestyle and the things that are allowed is different. And it's being indoctrinated. You know, the children are being indoctrinated now. It's starting from a very young age. So I think I'm more concerned about how the young children, how the parents are going to find that balance between, yes, you're in this world where nothing apparently is frowned on and everything is allowed, but in our household, in our family, this is not allowed. And how do you stand up for yourself in public when you're being pressured to accept something that you know you can't accept?
You cannot accept. Yes, fine. That starts from whatever that is written down stays longer in the brain. Somebody told me that the worst pen is better than the best brain, or something like that. Just write everything down. So where most of our parents are missing it is they don't document their cultural heritage. They don't document the identity of their family, who they are. When you document everything, there is no way. You start documentation before the children were born, before you start to bring them to this world. So when you document it, that thing you are handing over to them, they come into the house to look at it, to see it. There is a corner where that book will always be there. So why do we think the religions of Christianity and Islam are growing fast now? That happens because of the Bible and the Quran.
The written literature.
It's been written down. It's been perfected. No one can change it. The interpretation could be different.
Right.
That's why I said that the method could be different, but the purpose remains the same thing. So we tell parents that, see, what you need to do, and they are doing it now. Some people are over there, what they rejected, right? I have countless examples, cases in point. What they rejected when they were with us, that we told them to get free, they are paying for it now. Because, I mean, they can't bring the children back. On a few occasions, we've seen many people, a few people who said that, well, these children, please go back. We are going to be here until you are 18, then you bring, and I just did, and I just compounded the problem.
Because you're loosening the bonds.
So, talking about the identity and culture, document it. Who are you, people? Where are you coming from? Where are you coming from?
What are your values?
What are your values? The values that your forefathers bequested to you, is there any way where you can tweak it just to meet the reality of the day?
Yeah.
Right? So when those things are documented, your children see as young as 1 year old, when they could open their mouth to say daddy or dada or mama, they will be, you take them there, you read it to them. This is who you are. This is where we come from. This is the picture of my great-granddad. And my great-granddad used to do this. Used to be a hunter, this. My grandmom used to be a market woman. All those things, let them know.
Family tree.
Family trees, let them know. So once they know, the next thing you need to teach them is emotional intelligence. Like I always tell people that our parents knew emotional intelligence, but they didn't just know how to pass it across to us. And that's why when you see our parents back in the day, they gave us Oriki. Yeah. When they want to send you on errand, they call you Ashake, Omo Kinika, Omo Lagbaja, Omo Badi Obaku Atala. No. And you know, from nowhere, our head swelled. How did that happen? That is the power of word. Over time, you know, they speak it, they've been speaking it over time, and it's been sealed up.
Printed on us.
Printed on us.
Okay.
So that's another. So once they are connected, they are connected with those Oriki. And when they go out, that thing keeps following them. They know what their forefathers were doing. They know what their forefathers were doing. There was something happened in my...
we can't go.
I told you, Tolu.
There's no...
No. The truth is... Let me skip that. Now, in order for them not to experience any culture shock or not to attack any culture they find there that is not really connecting with them, emotional intelligence has to come in. This morning on my Facebook account, I posted confession. Speak the confession to the subconscious mind of your child. Empathy and kindness.
Okay.
These children, they can revolt. Yes. You know why? Once they know that their parents really don't like a particular religion, or their parents don't really like a sexual preference, they don't want their parents to really hit it on them that don't play with these people of this sexual preference. You know what I'm talking about? Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, don't play with this person of this religion. No, don't do that. See, the moment they leave you, right? Because they are always empathetic to the cause of their generation. That's why you will see a teenager will not mind to play with anybody.
Okay, we have to end it on that note. There is no more time. There's so much more to get into on this. But we've touched on the issues of cultural retention, even identity. But then again, there's also the larger conversation about the wider societal impact of this Japa trend and what it means for us as a country, Nigeria. But Akinrokpo Akinola, social and emotional learning expert, author and founder of the Parent Mark Consulting. Thank you so much for joining us on Just Say. We're going to have you back. It feels like we're just starting the conversation.
So I think we'll do a special one of these days. One of these days.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we're going to go on a quick timeout. We have Hot Topic coming back.